The most dangerous weapon in the world is not a sword. It is the eyes of a king who believes he can take whatever he wants. Imagine a knock on your door in the dead of night. Heavily armed royal guards stand in the shadows. They have not come to protect you. They have come to take you, and you cannot say no. It was the season of spring. The winter rains had stopped. The valleys of Israel were turning green. It was the time when the air grew warm and the ground was dry enough for marching. In the ancient world, spring was the season for war. In the spring, at the time when kings go off to war, David sent Joab out with the king's men and the whole Israelite army. But David remained in Jerusalem. 2 Samuel 11, verse 1. David remained in Jerusalem. That was the first mistake. He was the giant slayer. He was the warrior king. His place was on the battlefield with his men. But he stayed behind in the comfort of his palace. He traded his heavy armor for soft linen. He traded the roar of battle for the quiet safety of his royal fortress. Down in the lower city lived a woman named Bathsheba. She was the daughter of Eliam. She was the wife of Uriah the Hittite. Her husband was not just any soldier. He was one of King David's mighty men, an elite warrior, a hero of Israel. Uriah was far away, fighting in the dirt and the blood, risking his life to protect the king's crown. Bathsheba was left alone. She lived a quiet life. She honored her husband. She kept her home. The city of Jerusalem was mostly empty of men. It was a place of waiting, a place of silence. One evening, the heat of the day was finally breaking. The sun was setting over the limestone walls of the city. The sky turned into a canvas of deep orange and crushed purple. Bathsheba went to the inner courtyard of her home. It was private. It was surrounded by walls. She needed to wash. It was a ritual of purification, a simple, holy act of cleansing required by the law. She poured the cool water over her skin. She was completely alone. She was safe, or so she thought. High above her home, the royal palace sat on a hill. It looked down on everything in the city. King David could not sleep. He got out of his bed. He walked out onto the high roof of his palace. He looked out over the quiet city. From the roof he saw a woman bathing. The woman was very beautiful. 2 Samuel 11, verse 2. He saw her. He could have turned away. He should have turned away. He was the anointed king of Israel. He had wives. He had wealth. He had the favor of God. But a man who is idle will always find trouble. David did not turn his head. He stared. He let the poison of temptation enter his eyes. He let it sink deep into his heart. In that moment, he forgot God. He forgot his honor. He only saw what he wanted. David sent someone to find out about her. The servant returned with the news. She is Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam and the wife of Uriah the Hittite. The servant gave him a warning. He reminded the king that this woman belonged to another man. A loyal man. A man who was currently fighting David's war. It did not matter. Power blinds the soul. Then David sent messengers to get her. In those days, the king's word was absolute. If the king summoned you, you went. If you refused, your family could be executed for treason. Bathsheba was a woman. She was alone. She had no power to fight the guards. She had no power to fight the king. She was escorted up the hill. She walked through the heavy wooden doors of the palace. She walked down the long, cold, stone hallways. She was brought into the king's chambers. She came to him, and he slept with her. Then she went back home. 2 Samuel 11, verse 4. She was taken. Her innocence was shattered. Her marriage vows were broken, not by her own choice, but by the crushing weight of royal authority. When it was over, David sent her away, like a stolen object he no longer needed. She walked back down the hill in the dark. The city was asleep. No one saw her tears. No one heard her crying. She went back into her empty house. She scrubbed her skin. But she could not wash away what the king had done. Days turned into weeks. Bathsheba lived in a silent nightmare. The dread in her stomach grew heavier every morning. And then, her worst fear became a reality. The woman conceived and sent word to David, saying, "I am pregnant." 2 Samuel 11, verse 5. 3 words, a death sentence. According to the law of Moses, adultery was punishable by death by stoning. Her husband had been away at war for months. When her body began to show, the whole city would know. The religious leaders would drag her into the street. The stones would fly. She had no one to help her. So she sent a desperate message to the only man who could stop it, the man who caused it. Up in the palace, King David received the message. Panic hit him like a physical blow. The secret was out. His sin was taking physical form. But David did not fall on his knees and repent. He did not confess his crime to God. Instead, his mind started working. He started plotting. He tried to cover his tracks. David sent a message to the battlefield. "Send me Uriah the Hittite." A few days later, Uriah arrived in Jerusalem. He was covered in the dust of the road. His face was weathered from the sun. He wore the heavy leather and iron of a soldier. He stood before the king, completely loyal, completely blind to the betrayal. David put on a mask of kindness. He smiled. He asked Uriah how the war was going. He asked about the generals. He made small talk. Then David gave his command, "Go down to your house and wash your feet." 2 Samuel 11, verse 8. It was a trap. David wanted Uriah to go home. He wanted him to sleep with his wife. That way, when the baby was born, Uriah would think the child was his own. The king even sent a lavish gift of food from the royal kitchen to follow him. Down in the lower city, Bathsheba waited. She heard that her husband was in town. Her heart must have been pounding. How could she look him in the eye? How could she hide her shame? But the door never opened. Uriah did not come home. Uriah slept at the entrance to the palace with all his master's servants and did not go down to his house. 2 Samuel 11, verse 9. When David woke up, the servants told him the bad news. The plan had failed. David called Uriah back. He was frustrated. "Haven't you just come from a military campaign? Why didn't you go home?" Uriah stood tall. His eyes were clear. His answer cut right through the king's dark heart. The ark and Israel and Judah are staying in tents, and my commander Joab and my lord's men are camped in the open country. How could I go to my house to eat and drink and make love to my wife? As surely as you live, I will not do such a thing. 2 Samuel 11, verse 11. Look at the incredible honor of this man. Uriah refused to enjoy the comforts of his wife and his bed while his brothers were sleeping in the dirt. He was a man of total integrity. David was running out of time. He was getting desperate. "Stay here one more day," David said. That night, David invited Uriah to a royal feast. The king poured him strong wine. He poured cup after cup. He wanted to make the soldier drunk. He thought the alcohol would break Uriah's strict moral code. He thought a drunk man would stumble home to his wife. But even drunk, Uriah was more righteous than a sober David. When evening came, Uriah left the table. He did not walk down the hill. He laid his mat down among the king's servants. He slept in the cold. David's plan was ruined. The trap had failed. Uriah was too good of a man. David sat alone in his chambers. The darkness closed in around him. If he could not trick Uriah, he had to silence him. The cover-up was escalating. Lust had given birth to adultery. Adultery had given birth to deception. And now, deception was about to give birth to murder. In the morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it with Uriah. In it he wrote, "Put Uriah out in front where the fighting is fiercest. Then withdraw from him so he will be struck down and die." 2 Samuel 11, verses 14 and 15. It is one of the coldest, most wicked moments in the entire Bible. David folded the parchment. He dripped hot wax onto the paper. He pressed his royal seal into the wax. He handed the death warrant to Uriah. Uriah took the letter. He bowed to the king. He turned and walked out of the palace. He carried his own execution order all the way back to the battlefield. He never opened it because he trusted his king. The battle was raging at the city of Rabbah. Joab, the army commander, read the king's letter. He did not ask questions. He followed orders. He assigned Uriah to the most dangerous part of the city wall, the place where the enemy's strongest fighters were standing. The Israelite army charged the wall. Uriah was at the front. His sword was drawn. He fought bravely. He fought for the king who had stolen his wife. Suddenly, the signal was given. The Israelite soldiers pulled back. They retreated. Except for Uriah, he was left entirely alone beneath the massive stone wall. The enemy archers looked down. They saw a lone soldier. The arrows fell like rain. Uriah the Hittite was struck. He fell into the dust. His blood poured out onto the foreign ground. He died alone, betrayed by his commander, murdered by his king. A messenger ran from the battlefield all the way to Jerusalem. He stood before the throne of David. He reported the casualties. Uriah the Hittite is dead. David did not cry. He did not show remorse. He sent a cold, heartless message back to his general. Don't let this upset you. The sword devours one as well as another. The problem was solved. The husband was dead. The secret was safe. Down in the city, the news reached Bathsheba's house. When Uriah's wife heard that her husband was dead, she mourned for him. 2 Samuel 11, verse 26. Her grief was real. Her tears were genuine. She had lost a good man, a man of honor, and she knew, in the deep places of her heart, that his death was too convenient. She knew the king was behind it. She tore her clothes. She wore the rough, scratchy black fabric of mourning. She sat in the ashes. Her life was completely destroyed. After the time of mourning was over, David had her brought to his house, and she became his wife and bore him a son. To the people of Jerusalem, it looked like a beautiful story. The gracious king was taking pity on the poor widow of a fallen war hero. He was providing for her, but it was a lie. The palace was a crime scene. Bathsheba was now a queen, dressed in fine clothes, living in luxury, but she was a prisoner. She was living in the house of the man who had ordered the murder of her husband. Months passed. The baby was born. David thought he had gotten away with it. But the thing David had done displeased the Lord. 2 Samuel 11, verse 27. God saw everything. He saw the look on the roof. He saw the messengers in the night. He saw the sealed letter. He saw Uriah fall in the dirt. He saw Bathsheba's silent tears. You can hide your sins from people. You can use your power to silence the weak, but you cannot hide from the eyes of God. God sent the prophet Nathan to the palace. Nathan was a brave man. He walked right into the royal court. He stood before the king. He did not point a finger right away. Instead, he told a story. There were two men in a certain town, one rich and the other poor. The rich man had a very large number of sheep and cattle, but the poor man had nothing except one little Awe lamb he had bought. Nathan described how the poor man loved this lamb. He raised it. It ate from his plate. It drank from his cup. It slept in his arms. It was like a daughter to him. Then a traveler came to visit the rich man. The rich man wanted to prepare a meal, but he was greedy. He refused to take an animal from his own massive flocks. Instead, he took the Awe lamb that belonged to the poor man and prepared it for his guest. 2 Samuel 12, verse 4. David listened to the story. He had a shepherd's heart. He hated injustice. The anger flared in his chest. His face turned red. He stood up from his throne. David burned with anger against the man and said to Nathan, "As surely as the Lord lives, the man who did this must die. He must pay for that lamb for times over, because he did such a thing and had no pity." 2 Samuel 12, verses 5 and 6. The king had pronounced the sentence. The room fell completely silent. Nathan looked David right in the eye. He raised his hand and pointed directly at the king. "You are the man." 2 Samuel 12, verse 7. Nathan delivered the terrifying judgment of God. "I anointed you king over Israel. I delivered you from the hand of Saul. I gave you everything. And if it had been too little, I would have given you even more. Why did you despise the word of the Lord by doing what is evil in his eyes? You struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword. You took his wife to be your own. Now, therefore, the sword will never depart from your house." The judgment was severe. God is a God of justice. He will not let the abuse of the innocent go unpunished. David was crushed. The arrogance was gone. The power meant nothing. He fell to the ground. Then David said to Nathan, "I have sinned against the Lord." It was a true confession. He did not make excuses. He did not blame Bathsheba. He took the blame. Nathan replied, "The Lord has taken away your sin. You are not going to die. But because by doing this you have shown utter contempt for the Lord, the son born to you will die." 2 Samuel 12, verses 13 and 14. David was forgiven. His soul was saved, but the consequences of his actions remained. The innocent baby fell violently ill. Bathsheba sat by the crib. She watched her child suffer. The fever burned. The baby grew weak. This was the absolute darkest moment of Bathsheba's life. She was innocent. She had been forced into this situation. Yet, she was watching her baby die. The pain must have been unbearable. David threw himself onto the cold stone floor. He refused to eat. He wept. He begged God to spare the child. For 7 days, the king lay in the dirt, covered in grief. On the 7th day, the child died. The servants were terrified to tell David, but David saw them whispering. He knew the child was gone. He stood up. He washed his face. He put on clean clothes. He went into the house of the Lord, and he worshipped. He accepted the justice of God. But what about Bathsheba? Her arms were empty. Her husband was dead. Her baby was in a tomb. She was broken into pieces. But God is near to the broken-hearted. He saves those who are crushed in spirit. God's anger was directed at David's sin. But God's deep, tender compassion was directed at Bathsheba's pain. He did not forget her. He did not abandon her in the ashes. Then David comforted his wife Bathsheba, and he went to her and made love to her. She gave birth to a son, and they named him Solomon. The Lord loved him. 2 Samuel 12, verse 24. The Lord loved him. God sent the prophet Nathan back to the palace. This time, he did not bring a message of death. He brought a message of divine favor. God told them to give the baby a special name, Jedediah. It means, loved by the Lord. From the darkest tragedy, God brought forth brilliant light. He gave Bathsheba a new son. And this son was not cursed. This son was blessed. Solomon would grow up to be the wisest man who ever lived. He would become the next king of Israel. He would build the glorious temple of God in Jerusalem. Bathsheba was no longer a victim. God lifted her up. When David grew old, another son tried to steal the throne. But Bathsheba walked into the king's chambers. She fought for her son Solomon's rightful place. She secured the crown. She became the queen mother, a woman of immense power, respect, and influence. But God's grace did not stop there. Hundreds of years later, when the Apostle Matthew wrote the very first chapter of the New Testament, he recorded the genealogy of Jesus Christ. He listed the great fathers of the faith, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and then he wrote this. David was the father of Solomon, whose mother had been Uriah's wife. Matthew 1, verse 6. Look closely at those words. God put her right in the bloodline of the Savior of the world. But notice what Matthew calls her. He does not call her Bathsheba. He calls her Uriah's wife. Why? Because God was making a permanent statement. By calling her Uriah's wife, God was reminding history that what David did was wrong. God was honoring the murdered soldier, and God was publicly acknowledging that Bathsheba was the victim of a great injustice. God did not hide the scandal. He put it right in the opening page of the New Testament. He wanted the world to know that Jesus Christ did not come from a family of perfect people. Jesus came from a bloodline filled with brokenness, betrayal, and deep pain. Bathsheba's story is a powerful reminder for anyone who has been hurt by someone else's sin. When you are dragged into darkness against your will, when you lose everything you hold dear, when people in power take advantage of you, the world may look away, but God sees exactly what happened. God specializes in taking the ashes of a ruined life and building a masterpiece. He took a woman whose life was shattered by the lust of a king, and he made her the mother of the greatest king of Israel. And through her family line, he brought the King of Kings into the world. No matter how dark the chapter looks right now, no matter how unfair the situation is, the story is not over. The God of Bathsheba is still writing. And he knows how to turn your deepest pain into your greatest purpose.